Hey, y'all. Welcome back to another episode of Real Chill Conversations. I've got my girl Dominique tonight, and we are going to talk about the long term effects of domestic abuse and domestic violence. This is a topic that I've wanted to talk about for some time. But, Dominique, since we've seen the news and we've seen the articles, first we saw Keke Palmer filed for a restraining order against her ex and baby's father, Darius Jackson. Then the news hit that kind of broke the internet this week that Cassie had filed a $30 million lawsuit against Diddy for various charges, including rape, sex trafficking, and domestic violence. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about us regular schmegular people that have gone through situations of domestic violence and long-term abuse. Keke Palmer was with Darius Jackson for 2 years. Diddy was with Cassie off and on for 10 years. But there's some of us that have been in situations where it's been a few years or it spanned over the course of a decade. Also, with that, news had broken that Darius Jackson's mother had filed a restraining order herself against Darius Jackson's father. So it kind of makes you wonder, do children kind of learn these kind of toxic behaviors from their home environment and their home life? So we've got a lot to unpack in this episode. And I just wanted to start off with what are your thoughts on this so far?
There's a lot of thoughts on this, and it brings back memories. So definitely, we gonna get into it.
For sure. Now, one of the things that kind of exists in domestic violence and domestic abuse situations, especially with women, is women feel shame and they feel embarrassment. And oftentimes, if they start to talk about their situation or make any mention that they might be going through something, they're kind of afraid that they're going to be shunned and they're going to be dismissed or that they're not going to be believed by the people that they tell. But I think oftentimes they choose not to say anything because they're embarrassed of the situation, or they experience something similar to what Keke Palmer described, as in love bombing and gaslighting. And love bombing is when someone basically just overwhelms you with gifts and shows of affection and telling you how much you mean to them and how much they love you and they would never do anything to hurt you, and they gaslight you and they get you all kinds of twisted up. So you're very confused, you're in a very confused state, and you just don't know if what's happening is really happening, and if this is what I think it is, could it really be happening to me? Because most women, I think, assume that they're smart enough to know if they're in a situation where they're being abused, that they would take immediate steps to get out of it. But with these situations that we're talking about specifically, we see that that's not the case. And being in a situation, having witnessed domestic violence and also having experienced domestic violence, I can say that leaving is not necessarily an easy choice to make and an easy thing to do. It seems like it would be simple, but it's not.
No, it's really not simple as everybody thinks. And more, I would say that yes, a lot of women are afraid to say anything because I have experienced it. Some of the toxic behaviors that the other person has, people would just dismiss it, as, oh, he loves you, that's why he's doing those type of things. You know what I'm saying? Like, if he didn't love you, he wouldn't do those type of things. And my mind was being conditioned into thinking that those toxic behaviors was actually love, when it really is not. So it does take some time, and I think a lot of women, they dismiss it because of that.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that type of situation and that scenario. And it is a lot of mental manipulation that goes on with the abuser, and kind of making you feel like you're responsible for their behavior. Well, if you just would have done this, if you just would have said that, then I wouldn't have behaved in this way. Some of the examples.
Right. They will start blaming you for it
Right.
because they would want to make you feel some type of way regarding of the way they're acting. But I was more angry at myself for staying with a man
Yeah.
who I knew was emotionally and physically abusive.
Right, right. Some of the things that Kiki outlined and Cassie outlined something similar where there would be eruptions of outrage. Kiki talked about an example of her and Darius had gone out to dinner one night, and he thought that she was being too flirtatious with another female. So the dinner ended abruptly. They got outside. He dumped her purse out on the pavement. He threw her car keys across the parking garage. He shoved her, and basically just screamed at her. He stomped on her prescription glasses. I mean, he did all these things. Then he took off in his car, and he left. Cassie described an incident where she was talking. She was at a party and she was talking to another Hollywood talent manager, a talent agency representative, and Diddy caught wind of that and got very upset over it, and got back to the hotel and started kicking and punching her, and beating on her because he thought that she was spending too much time talking to someone else. So it's normal things. I mean, when you go out to eat, or if you're in a situation where you're out and about, um, in previous situations, or in my previous example, if I made eye contact too long with someone, or seemed like I was, smiling at someone or responding to someone having a conversation with me, it would trigger, a jealousy. And it's like, I'm not doing anything. Like, I'm not trying to leave you and go be with this person. I was just being nice. So that caused me to put myself in a situation where it's like I kept my head down. I very rarely made eye contact with other people. I wouldn't engage in conversations with other people because I did not want to trigger, an event that would then turn into a long argument and then possibly abuse at the end of it, because this person would become enraged if I appear to show too much attention to somebody else. Very similar to some of the things that Cassie and Keke Palmer have talked about. And I just don't understand, where this rage comes from. Is it a need for control? Do you actually think that the person that you're with is going to leave you for the waiter or the waitress or the bartender? Like,
Yeah,
what?
I mean, it's definitely, jealousy, control. They just want to be in control of everything. And these are narcissistic behaviors of what we have spoken about before. Like this is definitely, one of those examples of when we did that topic on narcissistic behaviors. And since you were talking about beating up and punching and stuff like that, it's very unfortunate that some people be like, oh, you act like I punched you and, I just beat you to your face. It doesn't matter. Like the choking, the shoving, the pushing over the couch, dragging you, all of those things are also abuse. It is physical abuse. You're
Right,
not supposed to like that whole if you put your hands on a woman, to me that is being a coward.
right. Right. Definitely. Any type of shoving. I mean, a lot of times, certain men will make a conscious decision to not hit you in your face so that you don't have, bruises, you don't have a black eye, you don't have, swollen cheeks. They'll hit you in other areas of your body, or they'll resort to things like shoving or pushing you into a wall or pushing you out of the room or pushing you into a couch or things like that. Things that cause you to fall, and then your fall then causes your injury, and they're like,
And some of them are some people are very slick and do stuff like that. Like they'll cause the injury or inflict the injury on you with things.
right.
The whole pushing on the wall, lifting you up to the wall, throwing you on the walls, like leaving bruises on you. Like literally the next morning, you can't even move your body.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Now, Kiki, when she filed for her restraining order, she also filed to receive sole physical custody of her son with Darius Jackson. She was granted that temporary restraining order with sole custody for her and her son. So, right now, Darius is not permitted to have visitation with his son. Kiki said she's bring her home surveillance video to court, and I believe her court date is December 5th. So they're going to try to, extend the temporary restraining order and the order of sole custody to a
And
more
let me tell you,
permanent.
nobody's just going to give people a restraining order, okay? Like
Right,
these judges nowadays, they are very strict on that.
right,
Like they're not just going to go out handing out restraining orders. There are
yeah,
people that go up there and try to file a restraining order for just threats itself. It's more substantial to that. Like you really have to have proof and everything else for them to do that.
right. Right. And with the incident that triggered this whole situation, Darius had come by her home to pick up their son to take him to a football game. The son wasn't home because he was with Kiki's sister visiting. That triggered an argument. And that's when the shoving and all that took place, and the, pushing her into the couch. And then when she said she was going to call the police, he then snatched her phone and then ran outside. And then she ran off after him, where then she said he almost ran her over with his car. So, the other thing is that when you make a plea and you're going to state that you're going to call for help in this situation, I've noticed that, a lot of women lose access to their communication so that they can't contact family members, they can't contact friends, they can't contact law enforcement to be able to assist them because the other person has taken their phone or
Or
smacked.
they will threaten you, saying, I'm going to kill you if you do call the police,
Right.
you
Exactly.
know?
Yeah. Which is just absolute nightmare and an absolute shame. So as I was reading up more about the situation and the story with Keke Palmer and Darius Jackson, a news article popped up that stated that Darius Jackson's mother had actually filed for a restraining order herself against Darius Jackson's father back in 2020, and that restraining order is still currently in. And here we are, 2023 going into 2024. Now, they're not going to put that type of long-standing long-term order in place for no reason. There's got to be a lot of history that has gone on, and that woman have had to have gone through a lot of things in order for a judge to put that type of order in place. It's not just temporary. It got extended into permanent. She filed it in 2020, and as I said, we're in 2023 going into 2024. So I've got to think that there's a going on.
And most of these people, families, they know that, like they know who their son, who their brother, who their grandson is, as far as, and they know that, you know, I'm sure they knew exactly what he was and what he was doing. Like family knows you better than anyone else. So yeah. Do we have any comments? Let's see. Take a pause here.
Sorry about that. I had to tell my children to quiet down.
Oh, you're fine. Okay, I don't see any comments.
Okay. Yeah. So,
I was just talking about that, people's families be knowing too. Just
yeah.
like his brother was like, oh, I used to be like that too. Do you
Yeah.
think it's okay?
No, but I think that they were exposed
And
to
this is why
domestic
some of
violence and
these people feel so like they can do whatever they want, like too, because people actually like still support them.
yeah. Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, I just can't support that type of behavior, and I teach my
Right.
boys, um, do not hit women. That is my biggest thing. Do not be disrespectful to women. But kids are not. Like, I'm not gonna condone that.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
me.
You definitely have to be mindful, and you definitely have to teach your children the proper way to treat other people. And if you have boys, you have to teach them how to treat a woman. If you have girls, you have to teach them what type of behavior is acceptable, what's not acceptable.
Hmm.
But the big thing that you can do, make sure you're raising them in an environment that's not toxic and that's not abusive. So if you do
Right.
find yourself in a situation that's going on, then of course, when things are best for you to make the decision to leave the situation, you need to go ahead and you need to get out, because you don't need to be exposed to that.
Right.
Because
And
I
I'm
think,
not gonna sit there
for
and
them,
enable somebody. Any
right?
man, I want to say this because when the story first came out that he publicly embarrassed her, Keke Palmer. And let me
Yeah,
tell you this, any man that can publicly, freely embarrass you privately, he's probably putting his hands on you.
are you talking his comments that he made after she went to the Usher concert about her dress?
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
So I knew then something wasn't right.
yeah,
Um, I don't think it was ever about the clothes that she was wearing because, like I said previously, she's a public figure. So, this is not the
right,
first time that she has dressed or exposed herself in that type of way. Second of all,
right.
people was like,
And
oh, but
tasteful.
they were
That is
acting like she was married to him. First of all, she's not married to him.
right.
You know, it's a difference. She's not
Mm-hmm.
married to him. So, and she's always dressed like that, you know? Like,
Yeah.
I've seen her. That's not the first
I
time that I've seen her with something like that.
and I didn't see anything wrong with it, honestly.
And it
I
was
thought she looked,
cute.
yeah, it was very cute. It was very cute. Absolutely. So, yeah, the fact that he made that post and he was talking about her in a disparaging way, in a public forum, was very disappointing. And like you, it also had me scratching my head, like, there's something wrong with this guy. Why would you come on a public forum and make this statement about what she's wearing? And, this is the mother of your child. This is supposedly your
Exactly.
partner, a woman that you love.
Let-
This is supposedly and that you cherish and appreciate, and like celebrate the fact that she just had a not too long ago and
exactly.
she looks damn good.
And let me tell you,
You know,
um, one time I know I was in a situation where I was like, I was speaking about different things because I didn't like something that he was doing. And he was with one of his family members, and I overheard the conversation of him saying, oh, she barks like a dog, like the dog that you be like, whoop, whoop, whoop. Just, you know what I'm saying, like publicly, embarrassing me. That's like
yeah,
public embarrassment, like when you get around other people, you down the person that you're with. But okay,
right.
so what could you be doing privately?
Yeah. You can only imagine what goes on behind closed doors, because what we were seeing posted on social media, we weren't seeing any of the issues of them going restaurant and then having a fight and him emptying out her purse outside in the rain, stomping on her glasses, throwing her car keys, stealing her phone. We didn't know any of that was going on. All the times that he was throwing her up against the wall,
Oh, it
throwing her
goes
up.
on. It goes
We
on.
didn't know that it was
Because
going on because
people do that. And
yeah,
they just feel some type of entitlement of taking your phone, like all of that, throwing my keys, breaking my phone, just because you mad, you upset. Like that stuff I bought.
right,
That stuff that you know, it may just be a phone, but still, like those are things, those are my things.
right. And you're damaging my property, things that belong to me. So that's just a whole nother level of disrespect and showing how much you don't care about me to stomp on somebody's prescription glasses. Hello, I need them to see, sir. Why are you breaking my glasses?
You know what? You really don't
No,
know who
no,
people
no.
are. I can say that, but we all should really be looking at red flags because sometimes we don't want to pay attention to them. And
Yeah,
I feel like this is just my personal opinion. I mean, he should pay for this.
right.
He should pay for this. I mean, we have to use, yes, we have to, as women, use better discernment when it comes to men. But this happens so often, and a lot of people don't talk about it, and it just goes so unnoticed, like it's very passive. And then it turns out that something happened to that person. You
Right.
see, some people just wait until it's too late. And you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah.
I'm no.
Yeah.
No, we're not doing that.
Oh,
It's way too many cases of women being abused. Um, People dismissing it because they don't think it's a really big deal, or they think that she's doing something to make him put hands on her. Let me tell you, I don't care what she's doing. You better not put your hands on her unless you're defending yourself because you're just, being attacked and you need to defend yourself. Like, no, I don't care. And people be like, well, she should have never been showing her body, being disrespectful. No, I don't agree with that shit either.
yeah. I don't agree with that. There was
So
nothing
miss me with that.
disrespectful that she did.
That gets
There's
nobody to
nothing
put their
disrespectful that
hands
she.
on nobody. Nobody.
No, not at all. Not at all. So let's unpack this whole Cassie and Diddy situation. So, as it was revealed last week, Cassie filed a $30 million lawsuit against Diddy. The charges included rape, sex trafficking, domestic violence, and more. She detailed several incidences that she experienced with Diddy in which he would threaten her. There was a time where she was beaten so bad sent her to Hawaii for a few weeks to recover, to hide her out so that she wasn't seen. She outlined that he would supply her with drugs, insisted that she had sex with male prostitutes while he watched, filmed, and masturbated to this. There was a time when she was involved with Kid Cudi and Diddy threatened to blow up his car. And then there was an actual incident of Kid Cudi's car blowing up in his driveway. Anytime that she would try to get out of the situation or leave the situation, she detailed an incident in where she left his home and he broke into her house and then he raped her and then beat her. He had people on his team, on his management team, and people that were working for him that were required to shadow Cassie and follow her and report her every move and document what she was doing and what was going on. But it's the control and the power trip and the pimping out your girlfriend for me that really had me feeling some type of way. And I knew that the relationship had to have been volatile because the girl looked miserable the entire time that she was with him. Once her and Diddy broke up and she got with her now husband, the girl had a light in her eyes. She was smiling again. She had a glow. She seemed like she was in a place of healing and a place of recovery. And her husband seemed to be very protective of her and never had anything nice to say, about Diddy. And there's been rumblings for a very long time that Diddy has been putting on this type of behavior with all kinds of women that he's been involved with in dating. But I just wonder, he got with Cassie when she was 19 years old and he was 37. She was naive, didn't know better. She thought that she was going to have this amazing record career. He made all these promises to her, where in turn, really, she just turned out to be a possession and a sex slave. She decided to file this lawsuit, she said, on behalf of herself and other women that turned out to be victims of domestic abuse, violence, rape, and sex trafficking. But then we find out just one day later that Cassie and Diddy have decided to amicably settle the lawsuit out of court, preventing it to go to trial. Now, some people were surprised by this. I watched several shows and listened to several other people talk about it and watched a couple of YouTube videos where legal experts weighed in and they said that it's really not uncommon in these types of situations for cases to settle out. But the reason for settling out, most experts believed, is that there was enough information to proceed with going to a trial. And also, Cassie had stipulated that if her demand was not met, she was going to move forward with writing a tell all book that would be published for the world to see what had actually gone on and what had actually happened. And after the news broke of the settlement, a lot of people were confused and upset and frustrated, and then calling Cassie out saying that she was just looking for a payday. What do you think about that?
I don't think it's just a payday. I really think like it's more to the story. And I just feel like at this point, the reason she did that was because she was protecting herself. Because I don't think that, his story is over right now. I think like a lot of stuff is about to come out and it just been unraveling for some time. And it's just like maybe she was just like, I gotta protect me. I gotta protect my family. And she knows that.
And I don't look at her as less than for settling this
Yeah,
case.
I don't either.
I think that she made a bold move and she made a decision to try to heal her trauma and to heal her pain. And by her taking that action, maybe it would inspire other women that were in a situation of domestic violence, domestic abuse, rape, sex trafficking, or any of that to be able to stand up to their abuser and report the fact that they
And
were
you,
abused.
that would, we're not Cassie and we're not like Keke Palmer because we're not on that, they're like public figures.
Right,
But the regular woman, is very hard for her to come out and do that. You
yeah,
know why? Because we lack the funds
right,
to get a lawyer
right,
and to really come out to defend us.
yeah.
So a lot of people get away with a lot of stuff. That's why it's very important to stay in your bag so nobody can play with you.
Right. The settling of this suit also prevents all the details and all of the information from being a part of public record. The only thing that's public record is the filing of the
I
law.
thought it was public anyway.
Public record is what was filed in the lawsuit. But if you were to go to trial, then they would have to have discovery, they would have to have depositions, they would have to have written statements, there would have to be the video evidence. the picture evidence and all of that. So all of that would be public record as well. And the transcripts of the trial would also then be public record unless a judge ordered for the trial to be sealed. So I think, as far as like taking care of herself and protecting herself, perhaps avoiding having to put her family through all of the difficulties that were going to have to come out in court with her having to detail the specifics of what happened to her, the video evidence, the video footage, the pictures, the things like that. So, as I said again, I don't, fault her or judge her for settling the case. I just was like, wow, that was
I
fast.
just think that it's more to the story. I think that there's more to the story, and he's being exposed anyway.
Yes.
So why not protect yourself? And I mean, to me, that was practically what she was doing. I don't think it was about making it public and all of that. Because if she wanted to, she could have did that.
Yeah, absolutely. At any
Like
time.
if she had pictures and all that type of stuff, she could have done that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it was more on the protection level. But this is why I go back to saying that, some of us are out here making life term decisions with temporary people,
Yeah,
like people that are not supposed to stay in your life for that long.
that's a good point.
And we need to get strapped up.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like we need to get strapped up because you never know.
absolutely.
Get something to defend yourself because you deserve to live. Everybody do.
Mhm.
So I'm just saying, um, these scary situations can take us out. So protect yourself, your kids, your family, um, and watch who you have kids by. I'm gonna keep saying that
Yes.
because
Yes.
my mom, like, my mom tried to tell me, like, she always tell me, just watch who you have kids by. Um, Somebody who hates you is preying on your downfall. I always believe if somebody doesn't like you, yeah, some people be like, well, just because somebody don't like you don't mean they don't like your kids. No, I truly believe that if you hate me that bad, you could hate my kids too because they're a product of me. So just be careful.
Yeah, they're a part of you. And if you don't have respect for the mother of your children, then you don't have respect for your children. If you're mistreating the mother of your children, you are mistreating your children. That is their mother. That is their primary caretaker, their primary caregiver. And if you're showing her nothing but disregard, then you're disregarding your kids, in my opinion. I just think that that's, a very cowardly thing to do. I think it's an move to make, to behave that way towards the mother of your children. So what? Y'all didn't work out? Okay, you're on different pages. You want different things out of life. You realize that the situation has gone as far as it's going to go. We have kids that we have to think about. We have kids that we need to co-parent and raise. So let's just do that.
But
Why?
the narcissist doesn't understand that. Their kids even make them jealous.
Yeah,
Like if you're spending more time with your kids and you're not really spending time with him, they'll get jealous.
right.
They'll
Yeah,
get jealous and um some of them out here really trying to trap a woman with babies
absolutely.
so they can control you, destroy you, lie on you,
Yeah,
smear your name
yeah,
on the internet,
yeah.
make you seem like you're just the worst person in the world, knowing damn well that ain't the case.
Hmm.
That's what they do.
It's, it's a lot of predatory men that are out here that are in this world. It doesn't have to be a celebrity. Like I said, it can be a regular person.
Yes, it could be a regular person.
Yep. And you have to be very mindful and very careful, as you said earlier, to watch out for the red flags. When the red flags start appearing, when they start flashing, when you start getting that little tickle in your belly, in your gut, that's your instinct telling you that something is off and something is not right. And you need to pay attention to it, not stuff it down and not ignore it. And that's something that I was guilty of. I was ignoring the red flags. I was ignoring the intuition and the gut telling me that something's wrong with the scenario because I didn't want to believe it. I was in denial. So that in turn, was my lesson in the situation and has taught me to never
Right.
ignore that feeling, because when I ignored it, I found myself in trouble. I found myself hurt. I found myself in a situation that I never thought that I would find myself in. So you have to just realize that, this epidemic, what I'm going to call it, this epidemic of domestic abuse and domestic violence, yes, it gets more attention when it happens to a celebrity or a public figure, but it's happening way more to us regular women than we're even speaking about, than we're even talking about. How many times have we read a story or seen a post across social media about a woman who had just filed a restraining order against her ex, and then is later she comes up missing, and then later they find the body, and then the ex is then charged and is found guilty of murdering that person or taking her
I
out.
don't
How
think
many
these cases take too much attention, um, especially if you have babies with people. It's not even about the babies. You would think it would probably be about the babies when you have a restraining order on somebody, but it doesn't. That's not the case. It doesn't even be about the babies. They are out to get you.
Mhm.
Don't care about you having their babies.
No.
Okay, they only want to see you hurt. They only want to see, they preying on your downfall. they
Mhm.
they don't care if you have babies by them and you need to feed them and take care of them. They don't care about that.
No, or men that are abusive to their women while they're pregnant carrying their babies. That's
Exactly.
abuse that goes on that you don't really hear so much about because people don't really talk about it. I mean, this thing runs deep and it's very significant, and my concern and my worry is really that regular women, everyday women out here, pay attention to the signs, and you can to get out of the situation as safely and expeditiously as you possibly
And
can,
but
because nothing good.
I truly feel like some women are not paying attention to the signs because of that, because toxic shit has become so normal
Right.
to people, where they just want to say, oh, we're human. We make mistakes. We mess up. Yes, we know that.
Mhm.
But we also have to take accountability for the stuff that we do. And if you're not being accountable, man, I don't know what to say.
Right. Right. Absolutely. I mean, it really is, a situation where there's just so much to go on in different situations, and people have different experiences, and everyone is on their own on in their own schedule. It might take you a year, it might take you 2 years, it might take you 10 years, it might take you 15 years before you recognize the situation that you're in and you make the decision to go ahead and get out of it. And then you have to give yourself grace and you have to give yourself time to be able to heal from that situation and recognize that you were, like you said, in a toxic situation, in a toxic environment, and there's not anything that you are to blame for. A lot of women will turn around and want to blame themselves for staying too long. And it's like, well, baby, you didn't you didn't know any better because your mindset and your thought process was different, and it was clouded from that toxicity that you'd been exposed to over the years, and the grooming and the conditioning that you had something to do with it, or that you were somehow the blame. We've got to get away from that narrative. We have to start, telling ourselves, no, I don't deserve this. No, this shouldn't be happening to me.
And there's also a lot of people who look for, let's throw that makeup sex in there, because a lot of people normalize that. Oh, we argue, we fight, we get into it, we get in a scuffle, and then we go have makeup sex. You see how everything is being normalized? Like it's
Right,
normal
right.
for you to put my
It's not the
for you to
solution.
put your hands on me, and then I'm gonna go have sex with you.
Right. Yeah, no, that's just something that's just unfortunate, but it's part of the whole cycle, of abuse and control and the manipulation and the love bombing. It's like, baby, I'm sorry. I won't do it again. It won't happen again. See, I love you so much. I just want to be with you. And, you're mine, and all of that. And women are like, okay. And until the next time. And it's like, you don't want to be there for the next time. The time that it happens once. It's fool me. What is it? Fool me once. Shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, something like that. I don't know, one of those phrases. But it's like, if it happens on multiple occasions and repeat occasions, and it's not being brought to a close, then you need to really take a look at your life and make some decisions to get yourself out of there. And in a situation where you have children with this person, you need to do your best to make sure that you're putting those kids first, and you get out sooner rather than later in a safe and healthy manner.
And other things, you need to pay attention to the small things, because a lot of people don't like to pay attention to the small things, but the small things are the ones that are going to let you know. When men, when people are recording arguments, fights, and all that stuff, just know it's coming, where you're going to be exposed. That's the whole purpose of doing it. I had my ex do that to me, record me, just so he could put it out there and make me seem like I was the one that was being aggressive and all of that, when that was not the case.
Right. Yeah, I think a lot of times, men will do that because they want to have something over you, and they want to make it seem like you're the one that was the problem, or you're the one that's the issue. And then it's purely for the sake of embarrassment. It's like, what are you recording
To
me?
destroy your image,
Yeah.
period.
Yeah. And to put a stamp on your name that what you have to say is not worth anything, because hey, I've got this video of her, look at her and look at how she's acting, recording you in the middle of an argument or a disagreement, or them confronting you about something, or harassing you about something, and going on and on and on and on and on. It's just ridiculous.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think that about sums up our little discussion tonight about domestic abuse and domestic violence and situations, and kind of a little bit of the differences between public figures and celebrities, and then what goes on between us regular folks, what we have experienced ourselves, as regular women out here, in relationships, throughout the years before we found ourselves, settled down and with a significant other, was the right relationship and not the wrong relationship. Glad that we made it out, and glad that we survived it. If we can do it, then so can you. And I just want to say, to everybody, keep your head up. Don't get down by this. If you guys want to continue the conversation, please feel free to drop your thoughts in the comments. We will respond. We will reply. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, join our Facebook group if you haven't already, and also follow us on Instagram.
Yes, yes, yes. And I want to say this as last thing. Just, letting you know, if he's treating you like shit, he's being abusive, you are pregnant by him, you done had a baby by him, uh better think twice about putting that name on that birth certificate. I'm just saying.
Just saying, just
I'm
saying,
just saying.
saying. All right.
Like, don't marry, like marrying, especially when you marry, put names on birth certificates, give them they daddy last name and all these things. And that's not to put people down, but I'm just saying it comes with a struggle.
It does come with a struggle. So be careful. Be careful
You will carry the weight.
who you have. Be careful who you have kids with. Be careful who you
Yeah,
make.
just do that. Be careful who you have kids with.
Yes, and make sure if you make that decision to walk down the aisle and get into that marriage, that you're getting into it for the right reasons with the right person. And if it's not the right person and things are going left, then you go ahead and you exit and go ahead and get on out. All right, y'all. That's our time. Let's get it. Let's go. We'll see y'all next week. Love y'all. Bye.
Love y'all. Bye bye.